In this chapter, we are getting some important information. By giving an appropriate example, we can see what is our ultimate aim of life. So, we are getting this explanation that has been started by the sages of Naimisharanya as an inquiry for the betterment of all humanity. So when we see the ultimate welfare for the entire humanity has to be thought out, and because of these questions by the sages, Sutta Goswami, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, was obliged to answer. If for spiritual welfare and the intricacies of life has to be resolved for once and all, that is the ultimate welfare. And all these questions are targeted towards that. Now, it means it gives an entry to divinity. Because without divine interference, either through the knowledge or by the meditative aspect or worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nobody can enter into the subject matter of divinity. Because divinity is beyond the three modes of material nature. So therefore, appropriate information has to be given. We can't mix up the three modes of material nature, mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, to interfere in this subject matter. Can't afford. Because the realm is different and we can't bring it just like we did not understand. Don't bring it. Because if you know for once and all, then you will always keep on discriminating between matter and spirit. Otherwise, we don't have a hope. The soul is spiritual, but the body is material. Soul is not the body. They are two different entities. So, how to dig out the spirit aspect, even which is there around or surrounding the matter. So this example is given by Sutta Goswami. Parthivad runo drumas sadatma agnistrayimaya tamasastu rajastasmat tasatvam yad brahma darshanam. Parthivad, from the earth. Darunaha means firewood. Dhumaha means smoke. Tasmat, from that, Agni, fire. Trai, Vedic sacrifices. Mayaha, made up of. Tamasaha, in the mode of ignorance. Tu, but Rajaha, the mode of passion. Tasmat, from that, Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Yat, which? Brahma, the absolute truth, darshanam, realization. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Firewood is transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood. And fire is still better. For by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. So similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas. But goodness, sattva, is the best because by goodness one can come to realization, the absolute truth. As explained above, one can get release from the conditioned life of material existence by devotional service to the personality of Godhead. It is further comprehended here in that one has to rise to the platform of the mode of goodness, sattva, so that one can be eligible for devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments on the progressive path, one or anyone, even from the platform of tamas, can gradually rise to the sattva platform and by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Sincere candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such a progressive march, and the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from the stage of life, tamas, rajas or sattva. It is a mistake therefore to consider the worship of any quality or any form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally beneficial except Vishnu. All separated forms are manifested under the condition of material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help anyone to rise to the platform of sattva, which is alone can liberate a person from the material bondage. The uncivilized state of life for the life of lower animals is controlled by the mode of tamas. The civilized life of man with a passion of various types of material benefits is the stage of rajas, and the rajas stage of the life gives a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the ethical principles, or the form of fine sentiments in philosophy, art and culture with the moral and ethical principles. But the mode of sattva is still a higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one in realization of absolute truth. In other words, there is a qualitative difference between the different kinds of worshipping methods as well as the respective results derived from predominant deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu and Hara, or the Lord Shiva. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Sadaram Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupadanayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapatapamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sadajatam Sadhana Raghunathantam Tatsajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Bhajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Bhagavan Sadhana Lalita Shri Krishna Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Namaste Tatta Kancana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanaste Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Cha Paditana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidhinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvichesha Sunyavani Paschata Deshakarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Parthivat daruno dumastasmad nihistraimai mayaha tamasastu rajastasmad tasatvam yad brahma darshanam. Again the translation. Firewood is transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood. And the fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through the Vedic sacrifices. See, in Brahma Samhita he declares, the material creation is universally, not only universally but cosmically using only the three modes of nature, mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, to conduct all the affairs in conditioned state of life for living entities. And human body is also conditioning on the soul. Soul is our reality and these bodies are temporarity. And yet these bodies are dancing in the hands of the three modes. We are compelled to do all the activities we are compelled to do. So the slavery is in conditioned state of life. It's not that because the nation is free, therefore we got freedom. No, how much can you do? Did you get liberated from this temporary, painful material condition? No. Then who controls that? Mother Nature. Because it came from Mother Nature. All the ingredients of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and ego, these are 8 elements out of 24 elements that were created in order to acquire the reality in knowledge. The consciousness means one must be conscious of the fact of his so-called conditioned state of life and constitutional state of life. Constitutionally, we are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. As so, mamaivaamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. But manasasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita that the soul is my part and parcel. My part and parcel. It is divine in nature. But his divinity is completely become obscure, hidden, because of material composition. His constitution, original, is Satchidananda, eternal, fully knowledgeable and full of bliss. And because Lord Krishna is sum total of all that, and his personality is coming from these transcendental modes of Sat, Chit and Ananda. Eternity, full knowledgeability and full of bliss. That is the configuration of the Supreme, and his part and parcel should also have the same, constitutional. But because of falling from the grace, by creating a separate desire, came out from the element called hate, became the cause to get him into the bondage of material existence. So this material world was created specifically to give the temporary residence to the living entities. The soul fell from the grace. Otherwise, eternally liberation and liberated souls are there all the time in association with the Lord. That is the actual life, and that is considered to be 3/4 of total. And that realm is ever existent. It is eternal in nature. But this temporary existence, creation, sustenance and dissolution, is done through the agency of the 3 material modes which are diagonally opposed to Satchidananda mode. Sat became Sattva. Chit became, Rajas, passion. And Anand became tamas, ignorance. You want to seek bliss, but you are looking in a dead matter, which is not part of your constitution. It is completely opposite creation. But that is required. A jail is for the constrainment, or a correctional unit to give opportunity to wayward or prodigal entities. Opportunity to correct themselves. So, this is explained that how do we derive to the divinity? So Brahma is teaching us. Maya hi yasya jagadanda satani sute. Maya means material nature. She is begetting multitude of universes. Jagadanda means a universe. And satani means hundreds and millions of universes. And scientists say the universe are expanding. It is not contained within this. It keep on expanding. Scientists agree. So now they are diverting to the black hole. Creation aspect is ever going on, but the black hole aspect is there where dissolution occurs. Now they are concentrating on that. You know, there is big experiment is going on between the border of France and Switzerland. Geneva is the headquarters of CERN, C-E-R-N. CERN is a big, institute to find out, they call God particle. Really, I'm not joking. And when you enter the facility of the CERN, there's a huge, tall reception room. Because they put 20-foot Lord Nataraj on it, Lord Shiva, the Lord of the Death. Somehow or another, he is there. And seeing him, scientists get more frustrated. Why? Because it's a direct challenge for the atheist to the theist. Right? Some of the scientists were caught on the video doing an occult program. Can you imagine? Occult means very secretive, and that was leading to a sin called death by murdering. So they enacted a play in front of Lord Shiva in the dark robe and occult, because they want to understand the mystery of death. So they want to perform in front of that a human sacrifice. Look at this. Big scientists ending up doing this. And there was a big uproar and big objection. Because first of all, it hurts the sentiments of religionists. Second thing, then an act of human sacrifice is promoted by this science. And then they try to cover up, Oh, we do not know, some of our men entered into this kind of drama. It is still available. If you Google, put down CERN, C-E-R-N, and you will get it. They enter into occult situation. I don't know who forces them to do voodoos. Better remain intelligent. So Brahma is telling that Maya hi yasya jagadanda satani sute traigunya tad vishaya vedavitaya mana. She conducts all her affairs in all the universes without any exception, through the three modes of material nature, mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. Everyone is influenced. Even a dead matter, which is formed from the living matter, retains those three modes. Retains them, like the food what we eat. The modes of material nature are not even invested by the cook, but also within the constitution of the food. It nourishes what? Soul or the body? It nourishes the body. So naturally, you are what you eat. So nonetheless, in daily activities there is no divinity. Daily activities of eating, sleeping, mating and defending, animals also do. Where is the divinity? But human consciousness is a developed consciousness. Can't afford to remain like an animal. Dharmo hi eko jatra vishesho dharmena hina pashuti samana. The element of religion is an added function for the human, beyond this four: eating, sleeping, mating and defending. And they must look into that what is that sustains that. Dharma means dharayate iti dharma. Not that I believe in this and you believe in that. What is sustaining our life symptoms? Who? Where do we get? Do you think laboratory will sustain us? Then material nature gives us time leash. If we behave like a human being supposed to be behaving, then he can be paroled. Otherwise he is also in the jail. But a person who is on parole, he has every chance to get rectified. That's how the correctional units are meant for. So in the material jailhouse, devotees have to understand and get paroled. If they behave on the materialistic platform, better bring out the divinity, because you are spirit, soul, part and parcel of the whole. So subtleties are there. But how to approach the subtlety? The example is given. Earth is so gross, it produces the wood, but we are trying to look into the source of the energy. It's transformation. Wood is transformation from the energy of earth. But at the same time, the fire, smoke is also transformation by the friction of the materials, right? But where there is smoke, there must be fire. So fire is more subtler than the smoke. Similarly, we have to look into that anything that has been transformation, the subtlety has to be seen. Because nothing is created all of a sudden by accident. There is a systematic development. So, ultimate responsibility goes into the three modes. Okay? They are so subtle that they were the first one to be created by the Lord, simply by a transformation of the divinity into the three material modes. Sat, Chit, Anand. These are the divine qualities. And they are non-material. And when they are reflected in an opposite medium, then they become sattva, raja, and tama. So therefore, the fire sacrifice, oblation of one's ignorance into the consumption or consummation by the fire. We perform the process of fire sacrifice during initiation, during installation, even in the house for peace. We invoke fire sacrifice, and the entity called Lord Vishnu, Yagyesh, Yagyapati. These are different nomenclature, but for receipt of our oblations. Yagyaihe Vai Vishnu. That is the representation. Lord Vishnu's representation is fire sacrifice, where we invoke the presence of the Lord in the divine mantras, glorifications, or what we call the formulas that leads to divinity. When divinity is invoked, the divine manifestation can also appear. But because of disqualification of this age of Kali, even the demigods fear to take birth. They don't want to come on this earth planet. Otherwise, they were regular visitors. Regular visit, but not in this particular age, which has started after the disappearance of Lord from the world. So, Brahma is telling, so material nature is conducting all its affairs through the agency of three modes of material nature. But I, Brahma, the incarnation of mode of passion, Krishna's incarnation of mode of passion is Brahma, the first living entity. He said, Sattva-avalambi, I have to adopt mode of goodness, even though I am totally a configuration of mode of passion. So much creativity. Mode of passion is epitomized by creativity, hyperactivity, creativity. When we can't tolerate the hyperactivity of our children, what to speak of Brahma? Our kids are probably, the Kellogg's is making GMO food to, give them hyperactivity or what. There's Radhi was very hyperactive when she was a child. Now she is becoming little sober. Was it not that? Right? Then we know right from the infants. So the point is, Brahma's hyperactivity, he wants to serve the Lord by borrowing his energy to create. Creation. So the elemental creation is already done by the Lord. Now the secondary creation is done by Brahma. So he is advising, I have to at least remain in my constitutional position. But how do I achieve my constitutional position? I have to resort to at least mode of goodness and perform all the functionality of it. Then I can concentrate upon parasattvam. Sattva-avalambi parasattvam, vishuddha sattvam govindam adipurusham. This is the gradation. It is subtler and subtler and the subtlest. Lord Krishna exists on vishuddha sattva level. This is told by Lord Shiva to Parvati. Sattvam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam. Sattvam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam. The Vishuddha Sattva stage is a state purified from the three modes of material nature, and it is the transcendental nature back. Means Satchidana is state pure position. And soul is having those qualities, but became subjugated under slavery of ignorance. So once the ignorance is removed, then we are on the correct path. But there where we are required the help of the Guru. Therefore in Prabhupada, we see, he is telling appropriately that every stage of our life in our activities which are guided carefully by the spiritual master, so we can elevate ourselves gradually to the transcendental mode. It is the nature of the soul is called Parasattva, but soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Whole who is the cause of all causes. And to know Him, one has to be more subtler than Parasattvam, that is called Vishuddha Sattva. For example, how did Lord Krishna appear as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki? Even in jail. This is the detailed explanation of Immaculate Conception. They were purified since 3 generations. They wanted the Lord as their child. Alright? And they have to suffer a lot for purification. Seemingly, material suffering is there. They took how many births even to continue that desire? Millenniums after millenniums after millennium. In the first millennium they were Vrishni and Sutapa, in the second millennium they were Aditi and Kashyap, and the third millennium they became Vasudeva and Devaki. These are the voluntary, what we call willingness to obtain the Lord as their son. Yes, pure devotees. But when the time was appropriate, it says after transference of the 7th embryo of Devaki, which is Balaram, Lord's own potency, the Lord ordered Yogamaya to transfer it into the womb of Rohini at a faraway distance. That is Yogamaya, internal potency of the Lord. So, people understood, Devaki got miscarried. But no. Only the devotees who know the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the divinity. Janma karma cha me divyam evam vettiyo tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanmana iti mameti so. If one knows the appearance and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which are divine in nature. So if they know through the divinity, which is at par, will be able to cross over the cycle of repeated birth and death and eternally liberated. Tyaktva deham punarjanmana iti maneti. After giving up this body, he will never receive another material body. Means he is already in his constitutional position and service as a part and parcel of the Supreme Court. So, human being has an obligation that he has to understand where he has come from and where he should go. If he is not understanding and only captivated by his own desires without any guiding principle, then it's a useless life, wasted life. Wasted life. So reality has to be exposed, explained, and experienced. Three things are there. You can't keep on make-believing now. So, here, Sutta Goswami gives the subtlety of the fire, which is the main element, right? And this subtlety can be expressed by performing the transcendental process of fire, just like fire of devotion. When we say, it's not only an expression, but what do you mean by fire of devotion? Fire of devotion. Yes, it will consume all your karmas, it will consume all their material affections. It will consume. But because you need love of the Lord, therefore fire of devotion is capable to. But fire of devotion, yes. Devotion itself is a yajna, an act of sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord. So naturally you will be reciprocated by love of God. If you are able to please the Lord, why do we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Question, Radhe. Why do we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Intelligent girl. Wow. Because she is Radhe, sex sponge. Very good. To please the Lord. Chant only to please, not to get some material benefit. Because love of God is the ultimate aim. When we get separated, it is our obligation. Krishna facilitates everything. Even our nasty, nefarious desires, he facilitates. But he doesn't want to get involved. Don't make him a witness of your nefarious activity. He has many agents who are witnessing on his behalf, but don't bring him in. He is the ultimate object of our love. Otherwise you will never find love or true love in the material platform. And you will be still remaining unquenched, dissatisfied, frustrated, angry. These are the reactions. So, Brahma is telling, even I have to adopt the mode of goodness, so why not everybody else? And human beings, they are also the product of Brahma's additional, he said, I am putting in human being an additional lot of mode of passion. Rajoguna, adhika. Adhika means more. Therefore we want to work, forgetting where is the energy of work coming from, forgetting anything. But we target only the, fruit of our work. Isn't it exactly a moth is attracted by the fire and get consumed? Our karma is binding in such a way that the whole life is being consumed without any gain. So to remain sucked up in the blind well of material life is falling into a suicide trap. We have to pull ourselves out. Therefore, religion has been coming into the picture. Really, ghost means to unite with, to connect with. We have to adopt a process that always keeps us connection in service of Him. Otherwise, a dead connection is there, but conscious connection is required. And for the pleasure of satisfying the Supreme, that my dear Lord, all these lives that I have lived, I was misdirected by my own foolishness. Please, in this human form of life, let me get an opportunity to serve you, to please you. So I will come back to you. Otherwise, it is extremely difficult. So, if Brahma has to adopt the methodology to reach the supreme transcendence or the divinity of the Lord, because we are simple of the Lord. We are not the Lord. A part and parcel, insignificant part and parcel. But nonetheless, the qualifying quality to become a devotee, a servant and loving service of the Supreme Lord, that is voluntary. It's not even by pressure of anything, but as a want. It is our life-sustaining. The judgment is that now our faith is convicted. Means we can't leave it alone. So then the reality starts exposing in the aspect of liberation, and the connection with the Supreme Lord continues towards the understanding the divinity in personality aspect. Then we can really exchange our sentient feelings with the Supreme. This is how the training has to be given in the temple. And then further progressing, when you don't see any difference between the living entities, the deity, as well as in devotees, you are cultivating an equivision platform. That you see the presence of the Lord everywhere, even in the deity. So, therefore, such exchanges of sentient feelings are not idol worship. They are called Vigraha Seva, not Murti Puja. It's called Archa Vigraha. Arche Vishnu Shiladi, Guru Sunarmati, Vaishnavera Jatir Buddhi Narki. If one thinks that, the Lord is made up of stone, our spiritual master is an ordinary man, start looking at that angle, then a Vaishnava, a devotee coming from this caste or this creed, is a white devotee, is a black devotee, are devotees, are devotees. Devotees are dear to the Lord. Who can interpret white or black? Everybody, one who is under the tutelage of a pure devotee is a devotee. One who can claim, I am a devotee of Lord Krishna. But Krishna does not approve. Krishna says, come through the agency of my pure devotee. Then I will consider, otherwise not. So therefore, the parampara has to be established. The disciplic succession is established for them. So Brahma is telling that mode of goodness is the basic medium, but then you have to shun off the other lower modes. Simply by hearing the transcendental topics of divine nature of the Supreme and the Supreme's part and parcel of the soul, one can come to the understanding which is divine. You know. Therefore chant, associate with the holy name. Even if you are staying far away. If you do chant amongst the devotees, then it will be boosting your spirituality. If you perform all these services favorable to the Supreme's desire, then yes, you will make a fast progress. So, ultimate aim, understand yourself. In Srimad Bhagavatam, this is said, Nunam pramatta kurte vikarma, jadindriya pritrane apnoti, na sadhu manye atmanoyam, asat api kleshata asati. Prahlad is telling. Parabhavasya abodha jato, javanna jikyasam atma tattvam, javat kriya, tavad mano, karmatmakam eva sharir bandhana. Not understanding, we are being impelled by the mode of passion and ignorance, and we perform the activities even which are not fit for human being. It means how much madness we have. Pramatta means maddened elephant. It can trample your garden of love. So, just for the sake of their senses pleasure, because the consciousness is flowing to acquire the knowledgeability, but instead we gratify it out of limits. It is not good for the soul. Atmanoyam na sadhu mandi. Because asatapi, this body is temporary and made up of the elements of ignorance. Therefore it is kleshada. Kleshada means giving miseries, no happiness. Asadeha, kleshada asadeha. The body is the source of miseries, not of pleasure. You go and ask the doctor, how many pleasure points do I have in this body? And how many pain receptors I have? The pain receptors. Which is more? He says, pain receptors. What is the proportion? 1 is to 50,000. So most of the time we end up in painful situations. Now over and above, these receptors are located in our skin only. Our mind is the worst of the enemies. So are we making any good sense for ourselves, any benefit to ourselves? Our activities are thus drooping us into more and more asuric property. The demoniac nature is cultivated. They want to enjoy the sense gratification unrestricted. And in any discipline, they want to seek out the pleasure by violating the principle. Even children are taught how to violate. Our children are not in our hands to raise up in God consciousness. So, the subtlety is reaching or allowing us to reach to our reality. That we are part and parcel of the Supreme Home. We are realizing, and therefore we must act into that capacity. Not otherwise. That is the life of a devotee. And it is beneficial not to our own self, but to everybody surrounding us, including the society, including the whole world. So, anybody has any question?
Maharaj, is chanting also in the three modes of material nature?
No. You can't stain the holy name. Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta. It is eternally liberated. However, you may chant and you try to pollute, but then why you are getting purified? If the holy name is getting polluted, why it is that we are being purified when we chant Hare Krishna? Nama Chintamani Krishnasya Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatvam Namnani. Just like the sun rays, Prabhupada says it, sun rays are falling on a pit of, dirt. Do you think the sun rays are going to be contaminated? No. Rather, it will dry it off. Divinity, once awakened, cannot be subsided. But it is buried in our heart so much deep that we can bring it to the surface by proper hearing and chanting. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabu Nahi Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karila Udai. The love of Godhead is embedded like seed, because we are His part and parcel in the seed form. So therefore the love of Godhead is also embedded. It is not a matter of achievement, but with the help of proper hearing and chanting, we have to uplift it right from our heart. And then become an example to distribute the love of God. However, if we do not realize, then take somebody's help to, dig out where is the fault that we have. Don't try to find fault in others, but try to find fault in ourselves. So, that is the point. Divinity, you can't think you can pollute it. Yes?
What is Namabhas?
Huh?
Namabhas.
Namabhas.
Namaprat.
Namaprat, Namabhas. Abhas. Abhas means unclear. Just like in the absence of sun, in cold season you get a foggy situation. It's water vapor, but as soon as the sun rises, the fog dissipates. Right? So, our ignorance about the efficacy of the holy name creates namabhas. You can still see even there is foggy situation, because sun rays are there. If it falls directly on it, then it will dissipate for so. So even sun rays, which are indirect, You can still, get the benefit of visualization of liberating point. So chanting in Namabhas will certainly give you liberation. But not love. For that, we have to clear. Anarthas are compared to the clouds. So clouds are denser than fog. Clouds can create shadows. So if somebody is infested with all the unwanted things in his life and still chanting, we can that he is under the shadow of a cloud. Right? But cloud is moving. It's not a stable situation. By the force of sun rays, the wind blows and drags the cloud away. So we may wait, but otherwise you can see the clouds are also limited. You see some other part, full sunshine. So you may choose to go where the sunshine is. That is so you have double advantage. So clouds of anarthas can be removed in the association of the devotees. Right? We get what we call combined strength of the holy name. The mercy of the holy name is like bright sunshine. Nothing can impede. That's way. But other two are our own created. Ignorance is created by our envy. You were not forced to envy Krishna, did you? It is a voluntary thing. Oh, because I'm envious of you. Envy is the first and foremost thing that will block the love. Why a loving couple gets eventually separated? Their love is simply fairy tale. It's not factual because they hide something. They lie, cheat. Four imperfect senses, four defects in us make this possible. So this is called added qualities of ignorance. Added qualities of ignorance. We have imperfect senses, therefore we are prone to make mistakes and prone to become illusion, and then we cheat. Nobody can ascertain I am an honest man. As far as keeping their ego high, they will cheat. Because love requires sacrifice. Unless and until sacrifice is the medium and staying together, then it's okay. But given time, circumstances, compulsion is falling. It is our own creation. So anyway, the idea is that divinity has to be brought out. Don't keep it buried in your heart. Becoming devotee means he will cultivate 26 qualities. Alright? And one of the most important qualities is the surrender to the Supreme Lord. That is what I want. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada ki
Yes, with this, we are Maharaj.